Okay. Hello. Hold on, I'm just texting somebody. I don't know if anybody else is live, but this isn't going to be about what people think it's going to be about. Well, it's kind of, maybe a little bit. Do I have water out here? Yeah. All right. We'll just wait a couple of seconds here. I'm tired. This ain't going to be long anyway because I'm tired. Hello. Hello. Hey, Teach My Ash. What's up, Pugs? Life Rewinded. Sarah. This is like totally different than what I normally do on here. I was just sitting here. I was about to actually start doing my nails, but then I realized it's almost 11 o'clock at night, and I'm just gonna start. I'll do them tomorrow. I took all of my nails off right now, so my fingers feel really weird. Like I have just my natural nails, and it just feels so weird, so weird. Hey, thank you. So, all right, this is gonna be totally not even like might not even interest anybody here, but I figured I was just sitting here, like I said, I was about to start doing my nails, and so I'm like setting myself up, got all my stuff out on my table, and I'm like, let me find something to listen to. So I go on, YouTube, and I don't know if anybody's heard of this channel. She's got a lot of subscribers. Hey, Natalie. What's up, Ben? What's up, Carlos? Hummingbird. This girl comes up, and I watched a couple of her videos, and she's got a lot of subscribers. She's got like 210, I think, thousand. And I watched a couple of her videos, and they're all right. Like, I don't know, dude. I feel like the true crime genre on YouTube has gotten so oversaturated lately, where there's just like so many different people, like just so many different people. I mean, you got your bigger creators like your Stephanie Harlow's and Duty Ron and those people, right? And then you got like all these little channels that are discussing cases, and that's fine. Like, that everybody has a right to be here and do what they want to do. But I've been following true crime for years, whether it's watching Dateline or whatever. But I've specifically been on YouTube following true crime cases since like 2013. Like, that's what brought me to YouTube, was following a true crime case. I think it was the Jodi Arias case. I started watching the trial on YouTube, and then participating in the comments and whatever. And that's how I got like involved. Well, all right, polka dot Suzanne, you're 100% right. Like, people are just regurgitating shit, coming up with all these crazy fucking theories. But here's what really bothers me, okay? This girl's video tonight just really fucking annoyed me because she's totally just giving out complete misinformation. Like, it's just, and she's got 210,000 subscribers, and she's just speculating, and it's what she's saying is just not true. And like, she seems like a young girl, so I'm trying to give her like that pass. But I'm listening to the video. I'm going to play the video for you guys, so like you understand what I'm saying. Some people might not understand it, just from like my knowledge of how things work with lawsuits and stuff like that, which isn't much. I'm not claiming to be a lawyer. I never played my own lawyer in a custody case or anything. I'm not a lawyer. But just from following this shit for so long, probably like 20 years, it's just, you kind of like understand how things work after a while, right? If you watch a couple of trials, like, you kind of understand how these things work. So I'm watching her video, so I'm going to play it. It's about the Gabby Petito case, and if you guys don't know, I'll just give you like a brief little update. So Gabby Petito's parents, I think this is so weird, okay? They're filing a lawsuit against Brian Laundrie's parents for $100,000. $100,000, that's it. And to me, that's just so weird, because I'm like, why $100,000? First of all, like, your daughter was murdered. Her life is worth way more than that. First of all, I don't even think you could put a price tag on somebody's life. But I do know that this is kind of common practice. Like I was just discussing this with Hummingbird, and she brought up a case where this happened, and it does happen. It's not all that common, but it does happen. The O.J. Simpson trial, because O.J. was acquitted. Ron Goldman and I believe the Browns. I don't know if the Browns did, but I know the Goldmans did, had a civil suit against him, and I believe they won. He hasn't paid that off. You don't get how jaundice roll went from 3.2. Yeah, I don't either. I don't get half these things. And we're going to get into that in a second. Oh my God, Angel. Yes, that's exactly who I'm talking about. Yes, she has her following from TikTok. Okay, that's exactly who I'm actually going to talk about. And this might piss people off because they might like her, and that's fine. But I've watched a couple of her videos, and I've never really seen anything quite like this. But she made 2 videos on this subject, and the last one was pretty bad, and this one's even worse. And you'll see why in a minute. But anyway, so yeah, so a lot of families will do that. They'll have a civil suit against the person who whatever murdered their family member or whatever. Sometimes they do it just to get people into court. Sometimes they'll file a civil suit before there's even a trial or anything, and they do that to try to compel the person to like have to testify under oath, basically, so that they can get answers to some of the questions that they have. So they'll just file some bullshit, frivolous lawsuit just to get them to have to speak under oath, because in a civil suit, like you have to speak if you're the person who's getting sued, from what I understand. All right, so that's what's going on here. Okay, so just to give you guys a little run here. So all right, I'm gonna show you guys her video. I don't know if I'm gonna play the whole thing because it's 32 minutes, but we'll see. I'm gonna speed it up. So I don't know. I listen to everything pretty much on fast speed. There's just some people that just talk really slow, and being from New York, I even speed myself up sometimes. You know what I'm saying? It's just like I don't know. All right, so I'm gonna play some of this, and then
my name is Annie Elise, and this is 10 to Life, where we talk everything true crime. We also talk about all of the red flags.
All right, if I had to guess, I'm gonna have to pause this a lot too because I don't want to get struck because she's a big channel, and I'll definitely get struck. But what do you call it? I mean, just looking at her, I gotta share it with you guys. Hold on a second. Just looking at her, she's a beautiful girl. She's young. I could tell, maybe in her late 20s, early 30s. I don't know. If I had to guess, I don't know. Which doesn't mean anything. She could be, college educated, but I always wonder what's people's credentials, when they're getting this far into a discussion, into something about a case. I'm like, okay, what's this person's credentials? Like, what do they know about the law? What do they know about true crime cases? Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's always just a wonder in my head. Or is this just some regular Joe Schmo sitting in their living room, just like me, who's giving their opinion on things? And like, I like Kendall, right? And she basically just like retells stories, right? She'll gather all the facts together. She'll retell stories, cases, and she's pretty damn good. She's pretty accurate. And I just started watching her recently. But what I like about her is that she doesn't interject too much of her own opinions in these cases. Like maybe like once in a while she'll, give a little opinion about something, but like she never gets that deep. I know she has a podcast, which I don't listen to, but just as far as her regular videos go, I don't see her ever really giving too much of an opinion on any of this shit, which is what I think is good, So all right, let's listen to this girl because this is just insanity to me. Where'd it go? Hold on, I lost it. Hello, I just
along the way. So I have my
Can
new
you guys
little
hear it?
red flag that I'm going to wave every time we come across a red flag in these cases. So if you're brand new, stopping by for the first time, and you enjoy today's case video and hearing what I have to say, I hope you consider subscribing to the channel. And for those of you who are not new and have stopped by,
Is this too fast for anybody?
You're a regular 10 to Lifer, welcome back. Thanks so much for your support, guys, and I'm happy to have you here today.
Okay, one thing about this girl that has nothing to do with anything. Every time I watch her, you can't see it that bad in this video because she's sitting kind of far away. Every time I watch her, there's this little weird space in her part. She must have like a scar or something on her head, and I'm always like focusing on it. I don't know what it is. It's like it's so
you may have caught a video that I recently did regarding the Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie case and the new lawsuit that has come into play. So I'm going to do a little bit deeper of a dive on this video today because And there is a lot of information in that lawsuit. Now, when you align it with some of the timestamps and events that we already know took place, it very strongly leads me to believe that there is an immunity deal in place here. So I did a quick video.
Okay, so right off the bat, she thinks that this lawsuit being filed, it's just crazy. She thinks that this lawsuit being filed means that there's an immunity deal in place for the parents and Brian Laundrie. Okay, I don't know how she came to that conclusion, but we'll just keep going.
Video on it, and I uploaded it just recently, but it was only a quick 10-minute snapshot. So today I'm going to be talking more in depth about why I think that the Laundries may have an immunity deal in place and really what that means for the civil suit. So let's jump right in.
Now, mind you, she goes on about this for 32 minutes, and like, you guys are gonna see why at the end, because we're gonna look at another video, and it's just gonna completely like destroy her whole fucking theory here.
Search life with Andy and Lise starts right now.
As most of you know by now, the Petito family filed a civil lawsuit against the Laundries for $100,000. In the suit, they allege that the Laundries knew that Gabby was dead and that Brian had murdered her. Gabby's parents also alleged that they tried to help Brian get out of the country. Now, before we get into the nitty.
All right, so the parents are alleging that he tried to. The parents are alleging that Brian Laundrie's parents were trying to help him get out of the country. Okay. The reasoning behind this, I really don't know why. It really doesn't make sense to me. She's gonna get into that.
Nitty-gritty of that civil lawsuit. Let's talk about what that civil suit means really quick. Because in more times than not, when you file a civil suit and you include such specific allegations and claims, you have to have evidence to back up those claims. You can't just file a lawsuit with a bunch of speculation.
Okay, right there, she's just totally fucking wrong. Totally fucking wrong right there. Anybody could file a lawsuit for any like reason. Of course, there has to be some kind of like substance to the lawsuit, but like anybody could file a lawsuit for any reason. You don't have to have solid evidence of anything. I mean, if that was the case, then why even file a lawsuit? Just go straight to the judgment if you have all this, 100% proof. Like, it's like, no, girl, that's not how it works.
So there has to be evidence in order to file this lawsuit, not to mention the enormous waste of money that it would be to file this suit.
You would think that there has to be evidence, but really just anybody could really just file a lawsuit if they want to. I mean, there has to be some type of substance. Obviously, no attorney's going to file a lawsuit for no reason. But I mean, people sue each other for ridiculous reasons. And I think JLR, guys, how many lawsuits has that guy filed? Okay, just because it's filed, just because a lawsuit is filed, that doesn't mean anything. That guy tried to sue fucking, what was it, Kim Kardashian for taking his virginity. Okay, and it went to a courtroom, it went to a judge. So anybody could file a lawsuit for any reason. So right off the bat, this girl's totally fucking wrong and giving out completely just not factual information. Just not factual at all.
And take it to court if you didn't have sufficient evidence. The Petitos are also asking for a jury in this suit, which means that they are confident that they do have enough evidence and strong enough evidence to bring forward that they will result in a win. This means that the Petito family.
Okay, everybody that files a lawsuit hopes that they're going to win. I mean, that the mere fact of filing a lawsuit isn't proof of anything. And that's what she's trying to say here.
And their lawyer have sufficient evidence to prove that Brian's parents not only knew about the murder, but that they tried to help Brian get out of the country. Now, if they have this evidence, it is very safe to assume that the police have it as well, which then raises the question.
Right. And if the police had it as well, his parents, if they committed a crime, would probably be in fucking jail already.
If the police have evidence that the Laundries knew about the crime and tried to help Brian flee, why haven't the Laundries been criminally charged? Unless they can't.
Because they didn't break the law. That's why.
Can't be charged.
And we'll get into that in a little bit.
Now, to clarify, because I've seen a lot of comments floating around regarding them being charged with accessory after the fact. In Florida, they legally cannot be charged with accessory after the fact if they are related to the person who committed that crime, which in this case we know they are. They could, however, be charged with obstruction, which is any action that prevents law enforcement from learning about a crime or those involved in a crime.
She's actually wrong there.
Now, initially, they didn't have a duty to openly speak or cooperate even with the police. But if they did know Brian's whereabouts or that he did kill Gabby, which it's outlined that they did know that, they could be charged with obstruction. And although they are able to wiggle.
No. See, she's like, it's outlined. No, it's being alleged. She needs to understand the difference. A lawsuit is basically you're alleging, and then you have to go to court and prove that your allegations are true. Just because it's being outlined in some court document, that doesn't make it the truth.
out of the accessory
And it doesn't mean that it's solid proof.
charge. Based on Florida statute, there is a possibility that they could always be charged federally. Although I do think that's unlikely, it is a possibility. So again, just taking that whole thing off the table.
And okay, where is she getting this from that they could be charged federally? Like, where the fuck is she even pulling this from? I don't know. I don't know where this girl is pulling any of this information from. What research she did to come to any of these conclusions.
If the police have evidence, as the Petitos do, that the Laundries knew about the crime and tried to help Brian flee, why haven't they been charged criminally? Unless, of course, they can't be charged due to an immunity agreement.
Oh my God, I so badly want to just say why, but I'll let this play a little bit.
In the lawsuit, it's alleged that Gabby was killed on August 27th by Brian and that there were multiple calls made between Brian, his parents, and their lawyer between August 27th and August 30th. These phone calls were taking place, literally, as Brian was driving Gabby's van across the country.
Again, it's alleged. Did she just say alleged? Hold on, I got to back up there.
Brian flee, why haven't they been charged criminally? Unless, of course, they can't be charged due to an immunity agreement. In the lawsuit, it's alleged that Gabby was killed on August 27th by Brian and that there were multiple calls made between Brian, his parents, and their lawyer between August 27th and August 30th. These phone calls were taking place, literally, as Brian was driving Gabby's van across the country back home to Florida without Gabby. Then he returns home on September.
Okay, this is the first that I'm hearing about this.
First with the van and without Gabby, and the following day on September 2nd, Brian's parents pay their attorney a retainer fee. And a retainer fee is really just a lump sum that you pay a lawyer or whoever you're hiring for a...
Hold on a second. I want to read Ash's comment. The burden of proof is different in a civil court and criminal court. In criminal court, you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, and civil is a preponderance of the evidence, i.e. more likely than not. Okay. Thank you for that.
A said task. And then all the expenses and hours worked are drawn against that retainer until the balance becomes so low that it requires you to essentially refill it. It's a way for lawyers to basically guarantee that they're going to be paid and they're not going to be stiffed for their work later down the line.
All right. I don't even know what the fuck this has to do with anything.
It's very, very common to have to
talking about them paying.
So you guys all know that I love my timelines. For me, it's an easy way to keep track of dates without your head spinning. And we know in this case, there are so many dates. So I created a timeline that I want to walk you guys through with key dates that we now know through the lawsuit and some of the dates that we already had known. Once we walk through this timeline, I'll explain more about the immunity deal and what that may mean, especially for the civil suit, because there is a laundry list of reasons. Here we see the dates when Brian left Utah and returned. Nothing major really that we...
I'm sorry, but like the whole laundry thing is like, really, girl? I mean...
need to discuss, but I wanted to include it in there in the overall timeline. As we continue, we see the last phone call that Gabby made to her dad. Then her last social media post, which was on August 25th, where she posed with that pumpkin. And this is where the timeline starts to become very important. And August 27th is a very big day. A lot happened on August 27th. So on August 27th, Gabby and Brian reportedly had that infamous argument at Mary Piglet's, the restaurant, the Tex-Mex restaurant, or whatever it's called. This is also the day that the Petitos are saying Brian killed Gabby. In addition to that argument and the murder happening on this day, this is also the same day that text message is sent from Gabby's phone to her mom that her mother suspects Brian sent. That text read, "Can you help Stan? I just keep getting his voicemails and missed calls." And Stan, as many of you know, is her grandfather. But Gabby never called him by Stan, which is what raised the initial red flag for her mother. In addition to those three things happening on this day, later that same day, August 27th, is also when Gabby's van was spotted on the side of the road in Wyoming, and what ultimately was the tip that led investigators to finding her remains. In the lawsuit, it alleges that there is proof that for the day after Brian killed Gabby, and for the next couple of days after that, multiple phone calls were made between Brian, his parents...
Hold on a second. She totally like skipped over so many things in this timeline. Like, when did they get pulled over? She skipped over a lot of really like important things in this timeline.
Parents and the lawyer. And allegedly,
realized that
during these days and during these phone calls, Brian told his family what he had done, and they sought out legal help as he began his drive across the country back to Florida. Then,
all right, hold on a second. Let me rewind that.
Remains. In the lawsuit, it alleges that there is proof that for the day after Brian killed Gabby, and for the next couple of days after that, multiple phone calls were made between Brian, his parents, and the lawyer. And allegedly, during these days and during these phone calls, Brian told his family what he had done, and they sought out legal help as he began his drive across the country back.
Okay, so again, this is the first that I'm hearing about this, that they're alleging that he was already on the phone. Hold on a second. Nope, that was the 30th. She actually talked to her mom on the 27th. So her timeline's basically wrong, Hummingbird, because I was just about to say, I don't even know if this timeline's actually factual, because like I don't have a timeline in front of me to look at and say, oh, okay, this is right and this is wrong. So thank you, because I don't know. I don't know if this is right or wrong, but a lot of it sounds kind of wrong to me, just because this is the first I'm hearing that he spoke to the attorney while he was on his way home. I thought the attorney was contacted after he was home, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But that's what I thought. Never heard this before. And I followed the case like pretty closely. So, okay.
To Florida. Then on August 30th, he sends the no service in Yosemite text from Gabby's phone. Now, this text in detail is very important, because if he in fact did have legal counsel at this point, which allegedly he does, wouldn't the lawyer be advising him to stop all communication, not advising him to send fake texts to throw Gabby's parents off? And what?
Yeah, he would. So probably he wasn't talking to the attorney at that point in time.
Yes, of course, this is something that Brian did on his own accord without telling his parents or without telling his lawyer until much later.
I'm sorry, I don't personally believe that this is true. I don't know. I just don't believe that any of this is true.
Because I'm thinking that maybe all of the phone calls and incoming texts from Gabby's family, wondering if she was okay, wanting to hear from her, were possibly getting to him. And then without
And Hummingbird, didn't the attorney not only did, is that what we've been told this whole time, but the attorney himself did several interviews where he said that he wasn't contacted until Brian was home. So now the attorney's lying too? I don't know. I mean, that's like really putting your your law degree, everything, your what do you call it? Bar license, whatever the fuck they call it, on the line to lie like that. But maybe, I don't know.
thinking, he wanted to quickly alleviate the
Anything's
pressure and then just sent off
possible.
that message. Because I highly doubt that a lawyer would advise anybody not only to send the message, but to have any communication at all. I think it would be the complete opposite, saying, okay, from this point on, you don't text anybody, you don't call anybody, you don't do anything. So that text message confuses me quite a bit because we know that it falls within the timeline in which he already was having active conversations with his attorney. So then Brian ends up returning home on September 1st, and the following day, his parents pay their attorney that retainer fee.
Okay, again, I don't know if any of this is true. I don't.
They also adjust their camping reservation, and the family goes camping together from September 6th to September 8th at Fort DeSoto Park, I believe it was. So they're all camping, having this family gathering, all while ignoring Gabby's parents' phone calls, text messages, and blocking them on social media.
Okay, let me just say this. The first day he could have got home, he could have told his parents, oh, Gabby met another guy and ran off with him. And I'm not saying, listen, I'm not saying that this is right. And I'm not saying the parents are handled this, to us as people with morals, okay, as a mother, as a mother of a kid who I care about, they handled this fucking horribly. As a American citizen who believes in the Constitution, they handled this in the way that they have a right to handle this. Their attorney advised them very well, in my opinion, because they shouldn't have been talking if they did know anything. But like, they handled it well by not talking to the media, because once you start talking to the media, you just, either way, I feel like his parents were going to be fucked. If they talked to the media, everybody was going to be like, oh, they're lying and this and that. You know what I'm saying? So they decided to take the route where they just were going to not talk to the media. They took their attorney's advice. They had every right to do that. They were not suspects of any kind. Brian was not even a suspect. He was never named a suspect at this point in time in her case. So her not, him, he was free to do whatever he wanted. And people just like forget this because they're so angry and emotional about what happened, which, they should be, because it's a terrible thing that happened, but reality is he had rights, and his right was to be free at that time. And, the police did a really shitty job of watching him, so, unfortunately things ended up the way that they did.
10 days after their son had killed Gabby, and they knew that Gabby wasn't, no longer alive and with them, and just go.
But, oh, sorry, I totally forgot what I was trying to say there. When he first came home, or when he was on his way home, like, first of all, we don't even know if he called his parents on the way home. Nobody knows that. I don't know. His phone records were never released, so we don't know for sure if he ever even contacted his parents while he was on the way home. For all we know, he could have just showed up one day, and then the other thing is, he could have gave his parents a variety of stories. Maybe they went on the camping trip because they felt, parents just, we all have that sixth sense that when your kid's telling you something. My son told me a story today, okay? He got, into a fight with some kid at recess, and they got into trouble. And, I'm doubting his story a little bit, because I'm like, he's going to try to obviously make himself look like he's not the bad guy in the story. I mean, that's what kids do. I mean, Brian wasn't a kid, he's an adult, but kids, it doesn't really matter. He could have totally told them some bullshit story, and maybe the parents sensed that his story sounded off, but they didn't know 100%. And maybe they planned this camping trip to kind of isolate him so that they could have a conversation with him about like what exactly was going on. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's so many variables here. There's so many different things that could have happened. But everybody just assumes that he told his parents, like, hey, mom, dad, yeah, guess what? I just murdered my fiance and I'm on my way home in her van right now. And oh, yeah, by the way, I stole money on the way home. Like, I don't know about that. Like that seems a lot more far-fetched to me like, than him calling his parents and probably lying to them and saying, oh, we got in a fight, she went off with some other guy, or she met a friend, I don't know where she is, she left me. You know what I'm saying? That seems like the more likely scenario to me. but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, when you put everything together, yeah, it looks like maybe they knew, but you have to look at the whole sequence of events. Like there's so many variables and possibilities of things that could have happened.
Ghosting her family while they are on a family camping trip. So Gabby's officially reported as missing on the 11th. And
you know, for all they know, he could have told his, that's the other thing, could have told his parents, oh, Gabby was cheating on me and I just found out and she left me or I left her. You know, he could have even told his parents, you know, we got into a fight and I was an asshole and I left her there and I don't know where she went. I'm sure he didn't come home and just say, yeah, mom and dad, I killed my ex, you know, my fiance and left her body in whatever the name of the park was. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. That just seems so far-fetched to me. I don't know many people who murder people and are that fucking honest about it right off the bat. Like, I just don't see that happening. You know, so maybe they weren't answering the phone because they were like, fuck Gabby, you know, she ran off with another guy. Let her fucking deal with her family. Like, the whole point is that we don't know what the parents knew while they were on the camping trip, or, you know, we don't know anything. We don't know. We don't know what they knew. We don't know what he told them. So this is all fucking speculation on this girl right now. Total speculation.
the Laundries still aren't speaking or sharing what they know. They put a
And sorry if I can't see the chat because it's kind of hard when I'm on my laptop and I'm playing something and pausing it because I have to go back and forth between. They didn't have to talk. Polka dot Suzanne, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there, girl, because you're right.
couple little statements out through their lawyer, but essentially it is completely silent from them. And instead of sharing what they know, instead, Brian leaves for Carlton Reserve around the 13th or 14th, which was always a huge, you know, also red flag because nobody seemed to be able to get the date right on that.
Okay, but they weren't obligated to share anything.
So he goes to the Carlton Reserve around the 13th or 14th, and then that manhunt ensues. So this is also when I suspect that Brian's parents were trying to give Brian a head start, because as we know, there was a ton.
All right, this is where her speculation just starts to take a fucking completely wild fucking turn right here. Mind you, this is somebody who has 210,000 subscribers.
Conflicting information about when he was actually last seen and when he left for that solo camping trip to the reserve. And then way in the future, it comes out that, oh no, we really think he actually probably left 2 days earlier on the 13th, not the 15th when we said. And then the police would say, well, we were watching him, we had eyes on him, and everything fell apart. The whole thing was just, you know, like wave them all over the place, guys. So then just a few days later, Gabby's remains were found. Now, something here that is very interesting is that there was an active manhunt for Brian and a federal indictment that was issued for him on September 23rd for all of those credit cards.
Okay, there wasn't really an active manhunt for him. If you guys remember, okay, the police were laser focused on that fucking preserve. I remember talking to Hummingbird every single day. She was following this case from day one, you know, and I remember talking to her every single day about this. And me and her were just sitting there trying to figure out why they were just so focused on this reserve. They had to have known something, okay? When a whole entire month goes by and the fucking cops are just spending their time in one place and one place only, and they're not looking anywhere else, that means that they know something. You know, so obviously, and that's what we would say to each other, he's got to be dead. He's got to be dead in that reserve somewhere, because why would you spend that much time searching there if he's alive? It just doesn't make any sense.
Charges and the credit card fraud. Yet his family still didn't share what they knew about August 27th or Gabby as this, you know, national manhunt was underway. So the search for Brian continues for nearly 45 days. Police, rangers, FBI, and many other trained professionals on boats and scuba gear, everything, searched for Brian for weeks with zero results. But then, on October 20th, when Brian's parents joined the police to search for the very first time, they find Brian's remains in 20 minutes. 20 minutes after trained professionals for weeks couldn't find him. These two lay people, who happen to also be Brian's parents, happen to strike gold and find his remains and his belongings on their very first search with police after 20 minutes. Fat chance, in my opinion.
Okay. Does that seem very weird that they just walked in there and knew exactly where his body was? Yeah, sure it was. But from what I heard, and I could be wrong, they told the police to search that area several times. And from what I understand, the police didn't. Also, his body, where it was found, was covered in water. Okay. And at that time, when the parents went there, it was about a month after they had first started searching. And then the water line went down, the water levels went down. So, I mean, it's possible they could have searched that area once and just didn't see his body. I mean, I don't think people understand. If you watch the channel Adventures with Purpose, this happens all the fucking time. Some police departments just do not have the equipment. They just don't have the equipment to search in water that is, murky, that you can't see through. They might not have the right type of sonar or whatever, radars, whatever it is that they use. So this happens all the time. There's a whole channel dedicated right now to going and searching bodies of water that police have already searched, right? But they have more sophisticated equipment to go search, and they have found, who even knows? I don't even know. They're probably up to like 20, 30, missing person cases that they've solved now because they just have more sophisticated equipment. So they're able to search and find things that the police aren't able to find. So, I mean, it's not very surprising to me knowing that that does happen. And there's 30 cases at least just on this one channel that happens. It's very possible to me that, it happened here too. I mean, if you followed the case and you watched all the videos and, of them going in this preserve, like it was pretty rough terrain. Like there's a lot of bushes and trees and just vines and all sorts of crazy shit. There's alligators, there's snakes. I mean, it wasn't an easy place to search. So it's very possible they skipped over his body. I mean, you guys have to realize how big that place is, and they're literally looking for a fucking needle in a haystack. When they were here searching for Shannon Gilbert's body from from the Gilgo Beach killings, it took them almost a year to find her body. And it ended up being they ended up finding 10 more bodies by accident while they were searching for her, and then they still couldn't find her body. Then they started searching in this marsh, and it still took them like another month or two to find her body. So it's not easy to find bodies as people think. But we have a lot of naive people on here that think that they're cops, they should just be able to find it, like, because they have dogs and they have equipment. But that's not how it works all the time. So the parents might have known that area, which was close to where he had parked his car, which common sense would kind of tell you maybe he was somewhere that was close to where he parked his car, because his car was left there, So I don't know. I forgot where I was going with that, but they could have, I don't know. They could have searched the area, thought they cleared it, and then the parents came back, knew that that was an area that he liked to visit when he was there, and that's why they found the body so fast. Like everybody's mind just immediately goes to like the worst case scenario. It's crazy.
That chance, and I'm just going to throw this up right now, guys, because it seems much more likely that the police were led to Brian's remains by his parents rather than them stumbling across them by a happy accident. So at that point,
okay, here's my question too. Do you really think, let's just be honest here, if they were, let's just make sense here, try to make sense of this. We can't believe that both of these things are true, okay? These parents that are trying to help their son avoid jail time and, for a murder and escape, they're going to be okay with him going and killing himself in a park. Like, both things can't be true. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're trying to save his life, right? And help him escape so he doesn't have to spend the rest of his life in jail. But then they were like, people think that they knew that he killed himself there, like he told them or something, and they knew. They knew this whole time, and they just let the police search there, while they knew. I mean, it can't be both ways. So, what parent's going to be like, oh, all right, you're going to kill yourself? Great. I'd rather you be dead than be in jail for the rest of your life. I don't think any parent would say that. I really don't. I can't picture any parent saying, you know what, I'd rather see you commit suicide than be in jail for the rest of your life. I just can't see that happening.
Gabby's remains are found, Brian's remains are found. Essentially, the active search and question of what happened to Gabby, all questions have been answered, but everybody still is, of course, wondering as far as what was in the notebook. Was there ever confession? Because at this point, he wasn't charged with her murder. And the next big timeline milestone we get to is December 15th, because on December...
Yeah, Mary, I doubt he told his parents. I'm sure he just said, hey, mom, dad, I'm going for a walk or something, a run in the reserve, whatever. To be quite honest with you, I think if he killed her and he was telling his parents, do you really think he would have went home like and then lived with them and then brought all of this, attention to them? Like, I don't know. I just can't picture that. I feel like he probably was lying to them too. And maybe they were suspicious of him, but didn't know for sure. I don't know. This whole thing when you really sit and think about it, just doesn't make sense.
15, the Laundries filed a petition in court to get $20,000 from Brian's bank account. Now, how he got the $20,000 is unclear, but I do think it's safe to say that it isn't from his salary at Publix. And I also think it's safe to say that if he had 20 grand just parked in his account.
Yeah, Mary, see, like, I don't know. Did the parents know that he had the gun with him? I don't know. I really don't know. Okay, so now she's talking about, I'm talking over her, but she's talking about the 20 grand that was in his account. So let me just back this up for a second, because this is where things just get crazy to me.
The Laundrie filed a petition in court to get $20,000 from Brian's bank account. Now, how he got the $20,000 is unclear, but I do think it's safe to say that it isn't from his salary at Publix. And I also think it's safe to say that if he had 20 grand just parked in his account, he wouldn't have needed to use Gabby's credit cards. He wouldn't have needed to fly all the way home from Utah to clean out his.
Okay, so here's another thing. He could have had 20 grand from so many different things, dude. Like, she's like, oh, he worked at Publix, so it's just impossible that he could have had 20 grand. He could have saved money. I mean, he did live at home. Okay, so whatever salary he was making at Publix, I don't know what his position was, but whatever salary he was making at Publix, what was he paying for? He lived with his parents. He didn't have to pay rent. So that's a huge bill right there that you're saving tons of money on. Like, you know, if my husband always said, he's like, if I didn't have to pay a mortgage and shit, I'd be rich. Like, you know, I mean, so I'd have tons of money in the bank. Nobody knows how much he was making at Publix. I don't know what his position was, but I'm just saying, like, that money could have been from so many different things. Who knows?
Storage unit to avoid a 1-month fee. Nothing in this whole statement as far as the 20,000 and him going home to close out the storage, none of that ever added up. I don't think it ever added up for anybody. So this is why.
Oh my God, I'm ready to shove that flag up her ass. I didn't see her waving the flag the first time.
It's my belief that he didn't get that infusion of money in his account until after he returned home to Florida. And we'll get into that in just a minute here. So here's where we get into the immunity deal. There's evidence that Brian's parents knew.
Okay, so she's like, here's where we get into the immunity deal, as if this thing really exists. This is what bothers me, okay? There is no evidence that there's any fucking immunity deal. She's totally just making this up right now and speculating. There's no immunity deal that we know of. But this is her theory. This is her speculation, but she's not making it very clear that it's her speculation.
Gabby was no longer alive and that Brian killed her. We know that now because of the civil suit and the fact that you're unable to file a civil suit without having proof to back up your claims. Also, with the call logs of the group calls with the attorney the day after Gabby was killed, I think it's safe to say that they definitely knew and were trying to take actions to protect their son. While their son's on a road trip, would they be having group calls with an attorney as he's driving back from Wyoming to Florida without Gabby and she was killed the day before? I mean, hello, the writing is on the wall.
Listen, hold on a second. You guys also have to remember that 20,000 that he had in his bank account might not have all been his money. For all we know, it could have been him and Gabby had a joint bank account or not joint, but that was in his name. And maybe she gave him money every month and maybe that was put aside for their wedding. So, you know, him going to say, oh, I want to save money. I mean, people can have money in the bank and still want to save money at the same time. I mean, that's very possible because maybe they were saving that for their wedding or a down payment on a house or something like that. Like, we don't know why that $20,000 was there. Nobody knows why it was there and where it came from. But this girl is just completely fucking making up her own shit. It's crazy.
Here. So we know the parents knew. Next up, we know that there's evidence of some sort that they tried to help Brian leave the country. Now, we don't know yet exactly what that evidence is. We haven't learned that yet. We will in the civil trial, but we don't know what it is yet, but we do know that it exists. Based on the timeline and the information that we do have, I believe his family was trying to give him.
Let me just read what's on the screen. While Joseph Petito and Nicole Schmidt were desperately searching for information concerning their daughter, Christopher Laundrie and Roberta Laundrie were keeping the whereabouts of Brian Laundrie secret, and it is believed they were making arrangements for him to leave the country. It's believed. So that means that, I don't know. I don't know if that means they have evidence or what. Who knows what that means.
Him a head start of sorts when they gave out all of those bogus Carlton Reserve dates and not knowing when he left, where he truly was. I also think that there's a possibility that they gave him that $20,000 and that was in an effort to help him on his journey out of the country. Now, if that's the same evidence the Petito family has, we'll just have to wait and see. But we do know that they have proof of the parents trying to help him go out of the country.
Okay, that's not evidence, though. That you believing that the $20,000 was put there to help him get out of the country. First of all, where did you come up with that figure? Like, why 20,000? I don't know. It just doesn't even make sense. Like, you're not going to be able to live off of $20,000 for all that long. Like, you know, you're going to have to pay for your plane ticket. You're going to have to get out of the country. You're going to have to find somewhere to live. But then what? You know what I'm saying? Like, that $20,000 isn't going to stretch all that long. So, I mean, especially these days.
Then we know that the search for Brian went on for nearly 45 days with extremely trained professionals, but yielded no results until, poof, 20 minutes after his parents helped, then they had everything. So it's my belief that following that family camping trip, when Brian kind of escaped undetected to Carlton Reserve, it's my belief that the attorney, Bertolino, was working out an immunity agreement for Brian's parents to share.
He didn't escape undetected. See, that's the whole thing. The parents knew that he went there, didn't they know? Or somebody saw his car, something like that. he wasn't under house arrest. The guy was free to go wherever the fuck he wanted. The police, that's really more on the police than it is on his parents, to be quite honest with you, because if they did see him as a suspect, then they should have been watching 24/7. Instead, they're like, oh, we thought his mother was him. Like they confused the mother with him. It's just crazy.
Not only what they knew about Gabby, but also Brian's location as everything progressed as he went into the reserve. And as soon as that agreement was penned, I believe is when they led police to Brian's remains.
Not only was he never charged, he was never named as an official suspect. He was maybe a person of interest, but he was never officially named as a suspect in this case, ever.
His notebook that had the confession and to all of it. Because why be so reluctant to help or speak for nearly 2 months in total, and then all of a sudden you agree to help, and not only help, but successfully lead police to what they have been searching for weeks. There is proof that they knew that Brian killed Gabby. There is proof.
I don't understand what she's trying to get at here. Like, is she trying to insinuate that they planted his body there, like that they knew that he killed himself there, that they knew he would be camping there? Like, what is she trying to insinuate here by saying that?
Proof that they tried to help Brian leave the country when there was a federal indictment issued for him, but yet they were not charged or even formally questioned once. Why is that? Unless they had immunity.
Okay, the federal indictment, as far as I remember, the federal indictment was issued after he had already gone missing. So that's not on them. Again, that's not on them. And, I don't know if she realizes this, but Brian was a grown man. He was in his 20s, right? So mommy and daddy, yeah, he lived with them, but there's only so much they could do to control their 20-something-year-old son. I mean, at the end of the day, he's a grown adult. So his parents aren't really responsible for his every, move.
We also know that in the interview that Brian's sister Cassie did with Good Morning America, she said that she had spoken with police, but not Brian, saying that she wished she could talk to him, implying that he wasn't speaking to her. Then in another interview, she says that she wishes Brian would have come to her initially when he got home to Florida, and that she and her parents are no longer on speaking terms either. So my question with that is, there was obviously no bad blood between Cassie, Brian, or the parents after Brian returned home initially.
Okay, this whole part right here, hold on, I gotta rewind this, because this whole part, I don't even know what the sister has to really do with anything in this, but it's just stupid. This whole thing is so stupid.
Saying that she wished she could talk to him, implying that
all right, hold on, let me go back.
Why is that? Unless they had immunity. We also know that in the interview.
Wait, what? Hold on, I gotta go back here.
But successfully lead police to what they have been searching for weeks. There is proof that they knew that Brian killed Gabby. There is proof that they tried to help Brian leave the country when.
What proof is there that he knew that they knew? There's no proof.
There was a federal indictment issued for him, but yet they were not.
There is proof that they knew. Everybody knew that there was a federal indictment, but that was after he went missing. So why even bring that up?
Charged or even formally questioned once. Why is that? Unless they had immunity.
No, you're wrong.
We also know that in the interview that Brian's sister Cassie did with Good Morning America, she said that she had spoken with police, but not Brian, saying that she wished she could talk to him, implying that he wasn't speaking to her.
Okay, again, this all happened after he went missing. So, oh my God.
Then in another interview, she says that she wishes Brian would have come to her initially when he got home to Florida, and that she and her parents are no longer on speaking terms either.
Okay, again, hindsight is 2020. Okay, this is all what she's talking about. All happened. All this was said after he had gone missing and had been missing for like a fucking weeks or 2 weeks already. So, of course, hindsight's 2020. The sister's looking back now and saying, "Well, knowing what I know now, I wish I would have talked to him. I wish he would have came to me." And I don't, the parents weren't on speaking terms because why? They're fucking. There was people. Assholes, Molly Golightly and these other fucking assholes, Bullhorn Betty and JLR, standing outside of this girl's house with bullhorns, scaring her children. And at that point, she probably felt like, you know what, mom and dad, if you do know something, fucking say something. So maybe that's why they weren't on speaking terms. Like, again, this is all what she's talking about is all after the fact. So it's like, why even bring this up? This has nothing to do with anything.
So my question with that is, there was obviously no bad blood between Cassie, Brian, or the parents after Brian returned home initially. In fact, they all went on that family camping trip together.
Exactly, Kathy. There has to be criminal charges to even talk of immunity, and there was none, because if there was any charges against the parents, they would have to be indicted, and it would have been in the PACER system or wherever, the Florida court system, wherever they were being charged. And there wasn't. There was never any fucking charges brought against the parents.
Spent some time together in Fort DeSoto. So what changed so quickly to where then nobody was talking to Cassie after September 6th at Fort DeSoto Park? Could Brian and his parents have cut Cassie out as to not implicate her?
Cassie never specified when her and the parents stopped talking. That's the funny thing. In that interview, she never specified. This interview took place I think 2 to 2.5 weeks after he had already been gone. So their fight could have happened that week. It could have happened the week before. She never specified when they stopped talking, or maybe they were just mad at each other that day. I mean, she's reading way too much into this shit.
If Brian's parents were working out an immunity deal, but Cassie didn't have one, could they have all been trying to help her essentially
Why would the sister need an immunity deal? She didn't even live with them. It's crazy.
avoid obstruction charges had she known the truth?
Because she's assuming, this girl again is speculating and assuming that they went on this camping trip, and the camping trip was all like, this is all made up in her head, that they all went on this camping trip and Brian confessed the murders to them, and they all came up with a plan on this camping trip to, get him out of the country. Like, none of this is fucking true. None of it.
It's just something that I can't seem to shake, because they seem to have a good relationship with her, and she saw Brian at Fort DeSoto Park, and then all of a sudden everybody cut her off,
Yeah,
and she was trying to ask questions and like asking in interviews, I wish we would just come forward and confess. I wish we would get our family out of this mess. I wish that we knew what happened. I love Gabby. My children love Gabby. Had she known the truth, I first of all think she would have come forward. But I think that maybe the parents cutting her off and Brian cutting her off was maybe in an effort to not tell her the truth, not only so that she wouldn't share it, but also maybe to avoid her being charged down the road. Because even though, again, she couldn't be charged with accessory after the fact because she's a relative as well, there still is the opportunity for federal charges down the line, or even state obstruction charges. So now that brings us to the civil suit. The civil suit was filed for $100,000, a very small amount considering how high profile of a case this is and the allegations outlined within.
Okay, the high profile of, like, the profile of the case has nothing to do with the amount of money that they're fucking suing for. I don't know what the fuck that even has to do with anything, but all right.
The suit. And I stated early on that when I first heard of the suit, it was my belief that it has absolutely nothing to do with money. I think that if it were a money grab, or even remotely related to money, then it would have been for a much larger sum. To me, the civil suit is about principle. It's about calling the Laundries out for what they did and who they are, and making their actions public knowledge, even if they can't criminally be held accountable for those actions. Now,
well, all right, I might have to agree with her on that, because that's the only thing I could see it for, because, again, your daughter's life is worth way more than $100,000. Like, I don't know. To me, the whole thing just seems crazy.
Only publicly naming them for who they are, what they did, and what they've done. But if criminal charges are now at this point not an option, a civil suit really is the only option left to make them hold any sort of responsibility for their role in this entire thing.
All right, but here's the thing, though. Making the parents, liable for this and responsible for this isn't going to change anything. Unfortunately, I understand what the Petitos are feeling in terms of, like, somebody that you care about died, okay, in your immediate family, and you just want to blame everybody, because that's just a normal part of grief, is like blame. You go through this like blame phase where you just want to like blame everybody for the death and everything that happened. And so I understand that part of it, but at the end of the day, it's not going to change the outcome. Like, so they're going to get $100,000. They're going to have to split it, right? Because the parents are divorced. So if the parents are divorced, their names are the ones on the lawsuit. It's going to 50,000 would go to one, 50,000 would go to the other. And it's not going to change anything. It's not going to change. It's not going to bring the daughter back. It's not going to change anything. And the parents still aren't going to go to jail. So, I mean, I just really don't see the purpose.
Because think about it, any evidence and proof that the Petito family has about the Laundries knowing and helping Brian flee, the police have that exact same proof and evidence. And there is no way that the Petitos and their lawyer would be made privy to evidence that the police does not already have.
That's not necessarily true. Okay. Whatever it could be true that they could have the same evidence as the police, but the police could actually have more evidence that they haven't told the family about. And that doesn't mean that the parents are going to be charged with anything. And it also doesn't mean that they have immunity deals.
And if the police has it and hasn't filed charges yet, you have to ask yourself why. And don't forget, the Petitos are asking for a jury trial, which means they are very confident in the evidence they have to support these allegations. So if the Laundries did receive immunity, as I suspect they did, given the circumstances and everything we know, what will happen in the civil trial? If they did receive immunity, they will most likely be forced to testify during the civil suit. Because
all right, and this all, again, is being based off the fact that they simply just filed a lawsuit. Like, she believes that because they filed this lawsuit, that all this is coming from the fact that they just simply filed a lawsuit, which, again, anybody could do. We learned this from JLR. He filed a million frivolous lawsuits that weren't even true, with no evidence to prove anything. He still was able to file the lawsuit. So she's basing all of this off of the fact that if the lawsuit was filed, it must mean that everything is true. And that's just completely false.
When you sign an immunity agreement, you no longer can be held accountable criminally, and because of that, you are often required to testify. So there is absolutely no possibility of self-incrimination at that point. You aren't given the privilege of invoking your Fifth Amendment right when there's any sort of immunity deal in place, because at that point, there's no repercussions from you speaking. And so a lot of the time, it's actually required in these deals that you do testify openly, should you ever need to or be subpoenaed to. However, if the Laundries did not receive immunity, I do believe that they will invoke their Fifth Amendment right during the civil suit and not testify.
More likely than not, they probably will first try to settle the suit out of court. So like the lawsuit's for money, right? So what'll happen is that their attorneys are going to offer the Petito's attorneys like, hey, for $75,000, this, that, and the other thing, let's stay out of court. They might go to mediation or some bullshit. They're going to try to settle it out of court before it even gets to the point where they're going to have to testify or be subpoenaed. So like, what makes this girl think they've been silent all this time? What makes her think that they're going to, testify even? I mean, the first thing they're going to do is try to get out of having to put any words on any type of public documents. So they're going to try to settle the case before it even goes to court.
As a means to not self-incriminate, because if they do self-incriminate, then they can be criminally charged. But again, think about it. Even if they don't speak and they don't testify and they invoke their Fifth Amendment right, they can still be criminally charged based on the sufficient evidence that the Petito's have. According to the Petito's, they think it is so strongly, and their lawyer thinks it is so strong, that they will still be criminally charged whether they testify or not.
Okay, and if that was the case, they'd be in fucking jail.
So if that evidence is so strong to where criminal charges will happen regardless, immunity deal off the table, guys. If that evidence that they have is so strong that it would result in criminal charges, if there were no deal in place, that's again the same evidence that the police have, leading me to believe that they would have already filed the criminal charges, but they're not, which just takes us right back to where we were in the beginning about them having a deal in place, and that's the reason they haven't been charged.
That's the only option. That's the only option, is that they have an immunity deal. That in her head, that's the only option. God, I can't. I just can't. And this girl has 200.
And I also think that immunity deal that they may have is also one of the reasons behind this civil suit, to still publicly name them for what they did and make sure that the public knows and that it's out there. Because even if they can't have criminal repercussions, at least they can have public repercussions and a civil suit to where everybody knows and they essentially can't.
And that's why I feel like they're probably filing this lawsuit, is to get some type of answers, because what other way could they really get the parents to testify under oath? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no other way, and have to answer questions and stuff like that. So, but again, even in a civil suit, right? Don't you have the right to invoke your Fifth Amendment and not answer questions? I mean, you don't have to answer the questions. So I don't know. I really don't know what good this is going to be for them.
Yes, they can get away with it lawfully, but they can't get away from it actually in the public, and it's naming them for who they are and what they did. Because we absolutely know that this civil suit is not about money. It's about something else entirely. So let me know what you guys think. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this. Do you also believe
it's going to be incredibly, incredibly hard for the parents to prove that his parents knew? And after this video is done, which I think she's almost done, and then she plays the court papers, and I'm not going to read all of them. If you guys want to read them, I'm sure you can find them on Google. But I'm going to play another video that just, you'll see
that there is an immunity deal in place. Because either way, guys, when this gets in the courtroom, assuming that it doesn't get dismissed, which I know a lot of people are thinking it will, I don't think it will. I think the Petito's are like a dog with a bone and they're going to fight this. But we're going to learn one way or another once this gets in the courtroom, because
it doesn't matter, though. It could get dismissed.
The Laundries are either going to testify or they're not, which is going to show right away, is there any sort of deal in place or not? If they
that doesn't mean that there's a deal in place. Again, it could, God, it could mean that they just didn't know. Never mind. You guys
do testify. We're going to not only learn more about what happened, what they knew, we're going to see more discovery, is my guess, and we're going to get a lot of the answers that we wanted all this time. But unfortunately, they most likely will not, again, have any sort of criminal charges attached to that, because they're testifying since they have immunity. But if they don't testify, it's because there could possibly be criminal charges coming down the pipe. Again, not the accessory after the fact, but they definitely can be charged with obstruction. So either way, we're going to get...
She's wrong about that, and I'd have to look into that, but I feel like she's wrong about that with the obstruction thing, because, like, he was at the house the whole time. He took off, and that's not their fault. Again, he's a grown man, so he left, and that's not on them. He's a grown man. He has a right to leave. He was free to go wherever the fuck he wanted to. So, like, that's not on the parents. So I don't know what she's talking about. How did they obstruct justice? All they did was obstruct justice in the court of public opinion. I don't think they actually obstructed justice in this murder case. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because he told the parents, yeah, I murdered her, that's not going to do anything in court, that they're like, yeah, well, he told us that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not evidence. There would still need to be a trial. A district attorney is still going to have to do a whole discovery with all the evidence tying him to the murder. The parents saying, yeah, we knew about it. That's not enough to convict somebody. So I just like, I don't know what the fuck she's even talking about. How did they obstruct justice is what I want to know.
Get answers. And it's very possible too that one of the purposes of this civil suit, in addition to just naming them publicly,
the reality is all these people are just fucking mad because they are nosy and they wanted to know what was going on. You know what I'm saying? We all did. We all wanted to know what was going on. And the parents wouldn't tell us. And they're just nosy and they're just angry about it. But you have to look at this from like a legal standpoint and like the laws and how does this fit into the law? And like she's obviously just not doing that.
Could be to get the discovery and to get.
She's trying to sound like she is.
Answers and to get more information. And again, I don't believe it has anything to do with money. If it were about money, I think that amount would be way, way higher. I think it's about something much deeper. And we also know that the Petito family, they have a lot of integrity. They are good people. I don't know them personally, obviously, as do, none of us really do, I guess. But from what we've seen and what we've gathered, I don't believe that they are the kind of family to just try to have some sort of money grab. I think they're trying to do right by Gabby. They're trying to hold the people accountable. They're trying to get answers. And that's what I think this whole civil suit is about. And it's going to be very interesting to know what the Laundrie's role really was in all of this. Because we all now know it did go much deeper. They knew about Gabby's murder. They still went out on this family camping trip with Brian, which I
see. She's like, again, she's presenting this all as fact. She's like, they knew about the murder. They knew about this. And she's presenting this all as if it's 100% fact. And it's just not. We just don't know yet. Does it look that way? Absolutely. But we don't know for sure.
Still, and I've said it in all my videos, I believe it was the last hurrah, so to speak, the last time the whole family could get together. I also think it probably was maybe a little bit of strategizing at that point too, because they're off the grid, they can have these open conversations. But we also now know that there is proof out there that they tried
to hurt off the grid. They're at a fucking campground that's like, there's a million other people there. I mean, it's not like they were in some like remote fucking, mountain campsite. They literally were at a beach campsite where there's like a million other people. That's not exactly off the grid.
Tried to help Brian get out of the country. So was that $20,000 that then once they found his remains, it was time to get that back?
Yeah,
was the Carlton Reserve them trying to give him a head start? And because I don't think that the end game was for him to unalive himself in the reserve. I really don't. I think that he was going to try to slowly escape and get off the grid, maybe work his way south. I don't even know. But
if you're going to try to escape, though, you don't go to a reserve and then spend 30 days there. I think it's pretty safe to say the fact that he was found as bones and there was no flesh pretty much left on him. He was a pile of skeletal remains. He pretty much killed himself as soon as he got into that reserve. I mean, I highly doubt he spent even a night there. So, what the fuck is she even talking about? Maybe he might have went in there with the intent, but then, he did bring a gun with him and ended up killing himself. So I don't know where she's getting the idea that he had some plan to like use the reserve as a platform to escape, because I think it's pretty clear that he drove there that day and offed himself shortly after.
I don't think that that was the end game. Had it been, I think that it would have come to a conclusion much faster than it did, regardless of that area being underwater and all that. I just think that I think he was trying to buy time and possibly escape. And I think that his parents, in my opinion, that they were trying to give him a head start. And that's why none of those dates ever added up as far as when they last saw him. When he went on his solo trip to the reserve, when the police last saw him, I mean, it was just a huge walking red flag.
Maybe the parents, I don't know, when you're going through like a tragic situation, sometimes your dates get fucked up. Like sometimes things just, you don't remember things clearly. Like maybe they just fucked up, dude. Like people make mistakes, but apparently in this girl's world and everybody else's world, there's no room for human error anywhere.
From the very beginning. So let me know what you guys think. I'm eager to hear your thoughts. Leave them in the comments below. I am literally following this case like glue because I want to know every single detail that comes out against these dirty laundries. So if you want to hang out with me as we take out the dirty laundry, scrub it with bleach, hit subscribe, and you'll get notified when I post updates regarding this case and, of course, other cases as well. Thanks again for tuning in with me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the coverage. Don't forget to leave your comments below. Subscribe if you...
It's like, we got it. Their name is Laundrie. We got it. How many laundry references can we, make? Let's pour some Tide on them. Like, let's put some Shout steam fucking eraser on them. Like, oh my God, enough with the fucking laundry references.
If you haven't turned that notification bells on, and please give this video a thumbs up on your way out. And we will talk again very, very soon. Until the next case, stay safe.
All right. That's it. That's her video. That was a lot to take in. Now, here's what happens after. I watch this whole video and I'm like, wow, this girl is just totally fucking speculating like wildly on this video. Okay. So I'm like, who is this girl anyway? I go on her thing here. her name makes me feel like she was in prison or something. So I'm like, maybe she's like a Christina Randall. Like Christina
Hey,
Randall,
everybody, welcome back.
whoops, did time in prison, and then now she discusses true crime cases. I don't know. That's what I was thinking. So I go to her about section, and this is where my mind just fucking totally gets blown. Hi everyone, my name is Annie Elise, and welcome to my channel 10 to Life. By day, I'm a trend forecaster in the fashion industry. And by night, I'm a true crime enthusiast. Okay. Like, so I'm like, this girl has no credentials, and I'm not saying she's not allowed to speak on these things because anybody can, but I'm like, she's got 210,000 people following her. And if you go under that video and you read all the comments, like everybody's like, yeah, like what you said. And I'm like, yeah, but what she said, none of it's even true or possible. So in my head, I said, you know what? I want to see with somebody who actually has credentials to actually speak on the law and this type of thing. I want to see what they have to say. So my next step, hold on, was going to, let me get there. My next step was to go to this channel. Hold on, I'm gonna have to close that window out because I was like, I want to see somebody who actually knows about, lawsuits and criminal cases and, things of that nature. What do they have to say about this? Because their opinion, in my opinion, it's going to mean a little more. So I take my ass over to Scott Reich's channel.
Good day, crime talk aficionados.
Whoa.
It's Saturday,
Hold on.
March 12th. And guess what that means? You know it.
All right, we're not going to listen to his whole video. He literally covers this for 2 seconds and pretty much says everything that I was thinking because I wrote a comment under her video. If you want to read it, go ahead, go there and read it. But I'm not going to read it to you guys because it's pretty much everything that I'm saying here. Hold on a second. Share screen. Whether you like Scott Reich or not, I don't know how people feel about him, but he is an attorney and so he knows the law. Okay, so I go to Scott Reich's channel because I'm like, this is a dude that I personally can trust his opinion. He's not just some fashion fucking trend forecaster sitting on his couch coming up with these wild fucking speculations and ideas just because he's a crime enthusiast, or a true crime enthusiast. He's an actual attorney. He does this for a living. I want to know what he has to say about this. I knew if this was a thing, then he had to have a video on it. So I go to his channel and I see this video and I go, I have to go through the whole video because he literally only addresses it because you'll see why. You'll see why it's so short that he takes 2 seconds to address it at the end of his video. All right, let's get to that.
Parents of Brian Laundrie, this
Hold on.
always comes out.
Right.
Obviously, we'll give her the presumption of innocence, but it looks like her ex-boyfriend threw her under the bus. Not looking good for her. Gabby Petito's family filed a lawsuit against the...
Listen, I followed Scott Reich since I think I was part of like his first 1,000 viewers because he started his channel when the Chris Watts case was going on because he's in case people in here don't know, he's a criminal defense attorney in Colorado. So he was, he started his channel around that time and now he's like got sponsors and shit, he's big time now. This is probably like one of the only like people on YouTube that I've actually been like part of like their first maybe like 500 to 1,000 and then they blew up. Like what's he up to now? Hold on a second. Yeah, 205,000. Now, why the fuck does that girl have more subscribers than him? That's what I want to know. He's almost there, but I'm just saying, like, this guy knows what he's talking about.
The parents of Brian Laundrie this week accusing the Laundrie family of knowing that their son murdered 22-year-old Gabby Petito and claiming that they were planning to help him leave the country. Now, the suit only is asking for $100,000 in damages, which seems a little low. But when you look at it, I'm not even sure that a cause of action exists in this particular case.
What's that? What did you just say there, Scott Reich? You don't believe that a cause of action, now let's look that up. Cause of action exists in this case. Cause of action. But he's going to actually get into it. So it says cause of action, a fact or facts that enable a person to bring an action against another. So there you go. He doesn't even believe that there's a cause of action. So again, her whole fucking 30-minute video that she just went on, that was based off of the simple fact that the family filed a lawsuit, so it must be true, everything must be true, and everything must be factual, is just like, he just erased it by saying that one sentence right there. He just totally fucking annihilated her whole fucking video by that one sentence. 3 words, cause of action. Oh, I'm sorry, 4 words, no cause of action.
Even if the parents knew what Brian Laundrie had done, he had told them everything, they have no duty to go tell the police. They have no duty to do anything.
What's that? Wait, hold on. Let me go back. Let's listen to that again.
Leave the country.
Okay.
Now, the suit only is asking for $100,000 to ensure that a cause of action exists in this particular case. Even if the parents knew what Brian Laundrie had done, he had told them everything, they have no duty to go tell the police. They have no duty to do anything. There's no evidence that they assisted Brian Laundrie in his disappearance that only resulted in him making it to the swamp where he took his own life.
Thank you. Thank you.
He certainly didn't leave the state, and he did not leave the country. Now, we'll have to wait and see if there's going to be a little more information that comes out on this, but I am very skeptical that there is even a cause of action that exists in this particular case. I get the Petitos want answers. They're looking to hold someone responsible, but the person that they need to hold responsible is Brian Laundrie, not his parents.
There you go. That's it. He just said it all right there. Like, listen, I don't like that the parents, I don't like that the parents just completely ignored her parents. I feel horrible for this girl's family and what they've had to go through during this whole thing. But again, I have to agree here. The only person that's responsible for what happened to her is unfortunately, he's gone. He took his own life. And it sucks that they're not going to get the justice that they want. But, it is what it is. The parents, you're not going to, let's just say, even if the parents did get charged with obstruction of justice, how long do you think 2 people in their 60s are going to go away with no criminal record, no prior record, right? Are going to go away to jail for? And then what? What is that going to do? Is that really going to change anything? No, it's not. So I have to agree with him there that, that's the only person that you have to hold responsible. So anyway, my whole point is that he just completely fucking annihilated that girl's whole fucking theory. Like, she went off on this big long tangent with all these crazy fucking conspiracies and, the immunities and all this other shit. And in reality, that's just not what's going on. None of that. She just completely fucking speculated that whole entire thing. And I wonder to myself, is she just doing this for content, just to keep her audience engaged, in some way? Or does she really believe these things? I don't know. But I can't believe that so many people are subscribed to this girl. And we see this not just with her, but we see it all over the place where, people are following Tiffany, who's talking about a fucking refrigerator. A refrigerator, dude. This girl is bugged out by this refrigerator on the Wells property that it got its own video, this fucking refrigerator. Because, apparently this Jose guy who came out of the fucking woodworks, I guess my whole point here is stop following these fucking people and giving them credibility when they have no credentials in the true crime fucking genre. You know what I'm saying? These people are just normal people speculating about a case. If you're going to follow them, then just know that. But don't put any fucking stock into anything that they say because they have no credibility. They're just regular people who are just making shit up and speculating, and you have to know that. Stop fucking thinking that these people are sharing facts with you or that they know what the fuck they're talking about, because 90% of them don't. 90% of them don't. Thank you, Linky Tor. Thank you, Linky. That's a lot of coffees right there. It's just oh God, the milk jugs. Beeford, I did watch her video the other day, okay? And I don't watch her, but I watched her video the other day because somebody sent me the two MGL videos where she's going off on Tiffany for using this video of this jaundice for all guy, right? So I'm like, let me see, to be fair, even though I think they're both complete douche assholes, but let me be fair, and I'm gonna go look, and I'm gonna see, what did she do? How much of this video did she use? Because the way it was being presented in the video, it was like she's used the whole entire video and made it her own video. So I go to her channel and I'm like, where's this thing? And I see the Jose, something about the guy Jose. So I click on it. It was like a couple minutes. I was like, perfect. That's all I can handle of her. Let me watch this shit. So she plays this one little clip from I'm not going to play it because she loves to strike people. She's a pussy, but she plays this one little tiny clip. Oh, thank you, figure skating coach. I appreciate that. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Amanda. Jose hearsay? Exactly. I mean, why are people putting so much stock into these interviews from these random people in the summer wells? Like, you know, what again, like you have to look and like, does this person have any credibility? Who is this person? Where do they come from? How do they know where the wells? What's their motive for coming on YouTube? Like, just because people say things, it doesn't fucking mean it's true. It's almost like Bullhorn Betty going to Wikipedia as a valid source for information. I mean, yeah, do I look at Wikipedia? Sure, but like if I'm really looking to like find facts, it's not really where I'm gonna go. I'll go to Wikipedia if I'm like, well, what year was Derek Jeter born? You know, like I'm not gonna go there for like facts. Like real serious facts because anybody can edit a Wikipedia entry. So anyway, but that's where she's doing her research. So I go to the video and this guy is basically, I don't know, he's like, yeah, Summer liked to hide in the refrigerator. That was her favorite spot in hide and seek. And then like that was it. That was all of the interview that she used. I think. I don't know. I didn't watch the whole entire video. So there was some other thing at the end, but I don't know what it was. I don't really know because she sped it up and they were all chipmunk voices. So I don't know who was talking, like, because I don't follow this Summer Wells shit. But she was in such a rush. I mean, justice for all, jaundice for all, whatever. You have no right to ask people to wait 48 hours. I understand why you're doing it because you want to get the views, you know, but at the end of the day, this is YouTube and it's a fucking dog eat dog world. Like nobody's gonna wait 48 hours. I mean, some people will, if they respect you, but that's the whole problem. Not everybody's going to respect you. So you have people like Tiffany, and she's like, I'm the queen of the Summer Wells community, and I can't wait. This refrigerator theory needs to get out yesterday. It needs to be out. Everybody needs to know about this refrigerator. I need answers. I need answers. What happened to the refrigerator door? Where is the refrigerator door? She's so bothered. First of all, okay, you could tell this girl hasn't left Rhode Island too much in her life because this is very common down south. Not even just down south, probably everywhere, in the country or whatever. Like people that can't like afford to haul off their garbage or can't get rid of their garbage for whatever reason, they that are poor or whatever, they tend to keep things like old appliances and cars and shit on their property because a lot of times they have pretty big properties, so they just throw shit on their property. Most of the time they try to keep it out of sight, but not always. I can't tell you, like, every time I drive down to Pennsylvania I pass like 20 of those houses. You see like them, they're in the country, and they have fucking refrigerators, washing machines, and all sorts of fucking crazy shit on their lawns. So there's a refrigerator on the lawn. The door's missing. The door could be missing for a variety of reasons, but she's like, "Oh my god, where's the door? Where's the door?" So it's a side by side fridge. The one side, the refrigerator door is missing, right? The side to the refrigerator, the bigger compartment, okay, is missing. And then there's the freezer side that's small, and that door is still there, but it's open. So she's bugging out about these holes that are in the freezer door, right? So if you look at the holes, I don't know, there's probably like 5 holes, and she's like, "Okay, what?" This is in her video. these holes weren't here in this interview with Don, but they're there now. Where did these holes come from? And I'm thinking, well, clearly the holes appeared after Summer Wells is missing already. So what does it matter? Because you just proved in your own video that the holes were not there in the first interview that Don did, or I don't even know what, if it was Don or somebody else, I forgot. But so she was already missing at that point and the holes weren't there. And then the holes appeared after she had already gone missing. So what relevance do these holes have in this refrigerator to her going missing if they appeared after she went missing? Like, I can't even make any sense of it. I just can't. So she's like very concerned about these holes, but any fucking idiot, you don't need to be a ballistics expert, okay? Any fucking moron could figure this out. If you look at the holes and just, I'm going to use this as an example. You take a piece of paper, right? And you poke a pencil through it. The side that you push the pencil through, right? And you pull the pencil out of the back. Well, the side that you push it through, the hole's going to be smooth, right? On that side. But when you flip the paper over and you pull the pencil out, the hole's going to be rigid on that side, right? So it works the same way with a bullet. Wherever the bullet enters, the hole's going to be smooth, somewhat. Is it going to be perfect? No, but it's going to be smooth. And then on the flip side, where it exits, it's going to be all rigid and, fucked up. It's going to have peeled back metal or plastic or whatever the fuck it is, right? So you can clearly see, looking at these holes, that whatever it was that pierced it, they pierced it in the door, like, first of all, while it was open, because I can't even see it being possible standing in a fucking freezer that I don't even think a child's shoulders would fit in, and then, shooting a gun. You'd fucking be deaf if you locked yourself in a freezer, closed the door, and shot throughout the door. Like, you could clearly see that the holes were made while the door was swung open. Like, so I don't know, but she's so bothered by these holes. Like, this deserves its own video, this refrigerator and the holes. And then she's in somebody's chat questioning how the holes got there. And like, but meanwhile, you proved in your own video that the holes appeared after Summer already went missing. So why are they even fucking relevant? I mean, they could be from anything, really. They could be from somebody hitting it. They could be from target practice. That's another thing that she probably doesn't realize. Like, pretty much everywhere outside of the fucking Northeast, people have guns and they shoot the fuck out of things on their properties for target practice, like old shit, cans, whatever. So if it's junk, they're probably going to shoot it and use it for target practice. Like, these are country folk. But it's like, she's demanding answers on these fucking holes on this refrigerator. And I'm just like, I can't believe people fucking watch this and take it seriously. Like, so now she died in a refrigerator. Is that the new theory? Is that your new theory, that you're going to go live for 7 fucking hours milking the shit out of this little girl and her family and exploiting the shit out of her? 7 hours, 6 hours over a fucking refrigerator. I just can't. I guess it just bothers me that people are taking this shit seriously. Always making something out of nothing. Yeah, typical. It is typical, Kimmy. 5 hours. Did Jose talk about his girlfriend and trip to the Philippines? I don't know. I didn't watch the interview, to be quite honest with you. I just because there's no reason for me to. That person isn't really going to, unless they're being questioned by police. I really don't care what they have to say to some fucking random YouTuber. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know who that guy is. I don't know how he's relevant to the case. They want all these people to speak on the Wells character, which I'm pretty sure, like, how many more people need to tell you about the Wells? I think all their fucking information's been out there. If you haven't made up your mind about what kind of people they are, I don't know. How much more information do you need about these people to know what kind of people they are? It's just like, enough. So she died after Don interviews, or the FBI scoured the grounds. Yep. So you look in a refrigerator. Well, that's the other thing. Life Rewinded. I'm like, yeah, the cops. Do you forget that the cops searched the whole property? I think like 3 times or some shit. I don't even know. But you don't think that they looked at this refrigerator? And she's like, the refrigerator was moved from one side of the driveway to the other. So that means Summer was in the refrigerator at some point, and then where? Okay, that still doesn't explain anything. Like, it still doesn't explain where she is now. I'm just starting to lose real faith in the true crime community here, the genre in itself. My the channels that I watch are getting fewer and fewer, I guess is what I should say. Yeah, they act like no one looked anywhere, no cadaver dogs, nothing. Exactly. Now, could they have missed something? Sure, but I mean, a place like a refrigerator that's sitting there, I'm pretty sure the cops walked over and opened it and looked in it. You know what I'm saying? And like if her body was in there, there would be some remnants of blood or something like that in there. If something happened to her, if she was shot, okay, if there was bullet holes. But again, any idiot could just look at the bullet holes and tell that they were made while the door was open. So it's probably was being used for target practice, if that's what the holes are even from. I don't even consider most of them true crime. They're a joke. That's what I'm saying. Like, I guess trauma is probably the best name for that because it's just it's a joke. That's why I stay on TikTok. These over here make me laugh. Well, Hummingbird, there is some people I do see some like true crime people on TikTok that pop up on my feed on like the shorts on here, and even them, I'm like, oh my god, dude. Like, no. I guess like, stick to the news and then those that know facts, like that are just sharing facts. You know what I'm saying? Like anybody could go Google an article if you want to know about a case. I mean, all this extra digging that these people are doing is just it's so invasive and it's just ridiculous at this point because most of the shit that they end up uncovering is just a bunch of hearsay that's completely useless in court. And you don't want to keep talking to all these people because these people are potential witnesses. And let's just say, it does come down to that the Wells get charged. These people are potential witnesses now in a murder case or something. And the more channels they pop up on, like, they're just going to fuck this case entirely up. And it's just going to be bad. We're going to end up with like another, fucking Casey Anthony or OJ Simpson where they just walk. Imagine, God forbid. Hold on a second. I need to get a tissue. Imagine, God forbid, anything happened to someone in your family if tons of random strangers were digging into every aspect and reaching out to everyone you ever knew. I can't like imagine that. Like, dude, when I followed the Chris Watts case and I look back on that, I feel like, dude, maybe I took it too far. Some of the discussions that I was having online and shit. Like, I don't want to participate in that again, to that extent. Like, I don't want to participate in any crime case to that extent again. I really rather just watch maybe, a little discussions here and there, but like that and the way that it made the family feel. And you could still see here 2 years later, no, what is it, 4 years later now, that Frankie Rusick still obviously fucked up from all this, from all the media and the, social media and the way that his sister's case was handled and discussed. And like, I feel like I was part of that. And like, I don't want to make somebody feel like that ever again. I don't want to make somebody feel like that again. Like, that's just horrible. Like, this guy is fucked up from this. And you could clearly see it by the shit that he posts. It's just sad. I mean, there's still people. Life Rewinded just shared with me, like, there's this fucking girl, Lana. I didn't know this. This fucking girl, Lana, is still fucking going on about the Watts case, now trying to say that Nicole Atkinson, the friend that reported Shanann missing, she's now trying to say that that friend slept at the house that night and fucking had her killed. Like, dude, just let it fucking go already. Was there weird things about the Chris Watts case? Yeah, there's weird things about every fucking case, but let it go, man. Let those kids rest in peace. Let her rest in peace. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. Like Frankie Rusick got to the point where he posted that video the other day because hey, what's up, Claire? He wanted people to know that Nicole Kessinger is innocent, basically. She had nothing to do with the murder. So he posted that, and it's like, just let these fucking people get on with their lives already. You know what I'm saying? Let them get on with their lives. Let them move on and find peace, whatever that is for them, because, their lives are never going to be peaceful. It's hard enough to lose somebody and then have to deal with your grief of losing one person, right? They lost 3 people, like that were, living people, and then the baby that was going to be born. And then had to go through this media circus, on top of that, with all these crazy fucking people like, Armchair Detective and, all these fucking crazy people. And it's like, I can't even imagine what these people are dealing with now, a couple of years later, still, how mentally fucked up they are. I just don't want to play a fucking role in that kind of shit anymore. It's one thing to follow a case and have an interest in it and, have discussions about it. But like, I participated by having Kay on my channel. Okay. Kay was hated by everybody. I mean, she took things way too far sometimes, most of the time, with that case, and said things that were just, I don't know if she was just like trolling to say things that were so unbelievably, off the wall to, enrage people to get discussions started or what, but like, she did a lot of damage to people, looking back, and a lot of hurt to the family. And then I don't know what it is. And Glare, maybe you can answer this, because I know mm, you started off with Kay, which was probably after I kind of stopped talking to her at that point. We didn't have any like falling out or anything. We just kind of went our separate ways. And I don't have any personal issues with her, but what happened with the Andriaco, is that how you say it, case? Because I heard that she was getting sued by them. And again, like, who knows if that lawsuit went through? There's another case where a lawsuit was filed, but who knows if it ever happened. But like, why was she being sued by them? I popped into Kay's stream and left when I saw she was wearing a crown. Is she still on YouTube even? I didn't know if she was even still here. I just kind of felt like there was a certain point in time where it was like, okay, dude, Chris Watts is in jail. He did his second interview with the TBI or whatever, the CBI, and it's time to let go. It's time to move on. We're never gonna get a fucking honest answer out of this guy, and it's like, the case is over. You know what I'm saying? Like, move on, with with your lives now, and let the family grieve. Oh, she is back with a different channel. It's just like, I don't know. And I also found out later on, and I didn't know this, and I could tell you right now, if I would have met her at that time, I definitely wouldn't have liked her. I found out that she was like a Jodi Arias supporter, and I was like, dude, if you support that one, I just have nothing for you. Like, Jodi Arias did more than prove that she was a complete and utter fucking psychopath. Like, I mean, when you're crawling through doggy doors and sleeping under people's Christmas trees, that's a fucking problem. So, yeah, was Travis lying to everybody and maybe, not the person that he portrayed himself to be? Sure. But does that mean that the guy deserved for some girl to drive 500 miles out of her way from Wairika, California to Mesa, Arizona, to take pictures of him and have sex with him, and then slice his fucking throat, stab him 28 times, and leave him in a shower curled up dead, in a place in your house where you're like the most vulnerable, in your shower while you're fucking naked? No, sorry. Definitely not. Mm-hmm. Yes, Mary, she supported Arius. Oh, Lana thinks Jodi's innocent. How the fuck could you think that she's innocent? How? How? First of all, she changed her story 5 times. Well, not 5 times, but she had 3 different stories before she went to court. First it was she wasn't there. Then all of a sudden there was these mafia guys, the ninja story. That's what people called it at the time. There was this ninja story, and these two people came in the house, a guy and a girl, and they, were whatever, and they let her go, but they killed Travis. And then all of a sudden she gets to court and it's, oh, sorry, self-defense. It was self-defense. Like, come on, dude. Come on. Anybody who watched any of her interviews and how arrogant she was, and more worried about her makeup, than anything else, you just know that there is something off with the girl. I mean, all you have to do is look at her fucking crossed eyes and just you could see that there's just something missing in her. There's something wrong with the girl. Yes, follow Hummingbird on TikTok. She's got a little true crime channel where she just shares little, articles and news reports and stuff. She doesn't sit there and fucking come up with wild speculation crap. Yeah, there was no self-defense. Okay, first of all, I would maybe believe the self-defense story if the guy wasn't naked in the shower. I mean, who attacks somebody while they're fucking naked and you know what I'm saying? Soaking wet in a shower. Like that doesn't even make sense. You're not gonna jump out of your shower naked and start swinging on somebody when I'm sorry, especially a guy when his like fucking bits are hanging out there. Like you're just not gonna do that. That's just not gonna happen. So the whole self-defense story is just no. Like, who's gonna do that? Seriously, you would at least grab a towel before you started fucking beating somebody up. Like, you're not just gonna come flying out of your fucking shower and start beating somebody up. That just doesn't happen. But she wanted people to believe that. Kay is a sympathizer of the villain. She's been known to have romantic pen pal relationships with convicted murderers. Oh, I didn't know that, Clara. Yikes. At first, when I first started following her, when they had the murder rap session, podcast, and it was her and Jay, she wasn't as controversial. I feel like, maybe it was because it was the beginning and she was trying to build an audience, and so she wasn't as comfortable yet to like be so over the top. I think that started to happen worse and worse over time. But when I first started, following her, I actually really liked her because I felt like I liked that she, wasn't so stuck to like she was open to having other discussions about the case, right? Because clearly in the Chris Watts case, right, there was problems in the marriage. And for there to be problems in the marriage, it's both people. You know what I'm saying? Like I hate this idea, and I know this happens, but people just like idealize victims all the time. They're like, they're a victim, they're perfect in life. They didn't do anything wrong. And that's just not fucking reality. Victims, unfortunately, they're people too. And that marriage clearly had issues, a lot of issues. Chris Watts was a total pussy. I mean, the guy just did not stand up for himself. He had no backbone. She obviously wore the pants, and I'm not saying that because it's my opinion. I'm saying that because I read the discovery, I watched everything that there was, and all the friends, okay, her friends, his friends that were interviewed, and even I believe some of their family members, his family, and even her own dad said that she wore the pants in the relationship and she was controlling. She was pretty much the one who did everything, made all the plans and kind of bossed him around. That was just her personality. And so that could wear on somebody. Does that mean that she deserved to be killed? No. But at that time, you just weren't allowed to have that discussion anywhere. Like, what went wrong in the marriage that it got to the point where this guy felt like he had to kill his family? Obviously he was cheating, but I feel like there was more than that. There was a breakdown of the marriage that happened prior to him cheating because, people don't just go and cheat when they're happy in their marriage. They cheat when they're miserable. That's when you start stepping out on your marriage, when you're fucking absolutely miserable and you're not getting something in your marriage that you're supposed to be getting. But you weren't allowed to have that discussion anywhere about that in the Chris Watts community because there were so many overly emotional women that were like, Shanann didn't deserve to die. And it's like, dude, I'm not saying she deserved to die, but I'm just saying what happened in the marriage. I'm just going through the timeline of things, because all of this factors into what happened, unfortunately. You know, everything, her attitude, I'm sorry, it does play some type of role because she, you know, however she was treating him obviously wasn't making him happy. He didn't handle it the right way, obviously. I mean, you don't go out and cheat, you get divorced or you try to go to marriage counseling. That's how you try to fix it. But like, we're trying to understand what happened. And that's part of it, unfortunately. But like some people just can't handle that discussion. And that's what drew me to Kay, was that she was open and willing to have those kind of discussions on on her show that she was doing, and it was interesting to me to hear at first, you know. But I think she just got way too fucking carried away with it, and she ended up she's kind of like Laura in that sense. Like, you know how Laura likes to go against the grain with everything? She could piss off Perp in a sec. Yes, she can. Did Kay pull up a fake up terminated from YouTube? What do you mean? Yeah, they said she's back. I don't know what her channel is. Right. The only thing that made people think NK acted with him is the resentment for her being a homewrecker. Exactly, Clara. Everybody's so mad. She's so horrible. Dude, in the beginning, she was being misled, dude. Like, that happens a lot. Scott Peterson did it to Amber Fry. He told her that his wife died. You know what I'm saying? The difference was just that Amber Fry handled it a lot differently. She came right out and just addressed the situation head on, and she helped the police, and so people all of a sudden were able to look at her as a hero, and Nicole Kessinger just was a private person and just didn't want she was embarrassed, she was mortified, she got in a situation, and I'm sorry, I kind of have to feel for her that, like, that sucks. You meet this guy, you think he's getting divorced. He obviously lied to her. I don't know. I don't think she would have gotten involved with him if she thought that he was happily married. I mean, she seems like a rather intelligent girl. But yeah, all these people were so stuck on it, that she had something to do with it. But she knew he was married. Well, figure skating coach, she knew he was married, but he kept telling her that they were like separated basically and, on the way to getting divorced. So, which still doesn't make it right, but, she, in her head, she thought that he was getting divorced. I mean, she was helping him look for new places and, to move out. Like, in her head, this guy was done with his marriage. They were just living together. I don't feel for NK because she supposedly saw their Facebook long before they got together, showing them happy. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't feel for her in the sense that she, was with somebody that was married, but I feel for her in the sense that, like, she didn't know she was going to end up in a case where, the wife got killed. I mean, that sucks, and she made a mistake. I mean, people make mistakes in life. Mhm. Yeah, Mary, that's exactly right. You shouldn't, because I mean, how many times do you see these kind of, things on episodes of Dateline? Or I just watched one recently where um the husband was an attorney, and he started having this affair with this woman that worked at his office. I don't know if she was like a secretary or a paralegal or something in his office that he hired. She was like 10 years older than him. He was married, he had 5 kids. They start having this affair, and they're like meeting up and whatever. The wife's at home, she has no idea what's going on. She just knows that like something's up in their marriage. So one night she gets all dressed up and she's trying to like rekindle their, flame or whatever. And he's like giving her an attitude, and he tells her he has to go to the store. So he goes, takes a ride over to, I think, like a Walgreens or something, and he meets up with the mistress. They go have sex in his truck or something like that. And then she leaves her car in front of the Walgreens. She had like a Mercedes or a BMW or whatever. And she leaves it in front of the Walgreens, and her daughter drives by. And her daughter is like, sees her mom's car there. So she stops and she sees that the mom's nowhere to be found. She's like, that's weird. So she calls the dad up and she's like, Dad, mom's car is at the Walgreens over here and she's nowhere to be found. Like, she's not in the store. I don't know where she is. So the husband comes up and he parks next to her car. He waits there, and I think he goes in the store at some point, comes out, and then he pulls his car around to the other side. And then, sure enough, her and the boss come pulling back in, and he fucking shoots the guy dead in the parking lot. And I believe he might have killed himself too. So, I mean, this shit happens all the time. You just shouldn't get involved with somebody. Yeah, Mary, what's fucked up about that case? So they were on Dr. Phil, and the wife is confronting basically the mistress, and the mistress was such a fucking bitch to her, man. It's on I think you can find it on Vimeo. I can't remember the name of the case though. I wish I could tell you which one it is because it's worth a watch, but man, the mistress was like such a bitch to the wife. Like, she's like, it's not my fault. Like, just totally fucking heartless towards this woman. She has a YouTube channel too, the wife. I can't remember what her fucking name is though. Yeah. But there's so many cases like that. There's just so many. I mean, I watch all this bullshit on here all the time, and there's tons of cases like that where, it's like, why do these people fucking have affairs? It just never leads to anything good. You know, like so many of these cases that you watch on these shows are about people who had affairs. And it's just like, dude, it's just a bad choice. Like, you just don't do that. It's never, most of the time, though, it's like one of the people got killed out of jealousy. I think the Chris Watts case was like backwards. It was like he killed his wife. I don't know. And his kids, like, what? Why the kids? Why? That's the part of the case that was so hard for people to handle. The kids. And I get it. It is, because I can never explain that. I can never fucking I just can't even in my head fathom why you would fucking do that to your kids. Innocent little babies. I just can't. There's no explanation for it. I'm trying to think of what the name was. Dr. Phil. I probably have it somewhere deep in my history. I mean, I watched it like a couple weeks ago, but I felt so bad for her, that girl, because the fucking mistress was such an asshole towards her. Such an asshole. I don't know much that Kay. Never watched her, but one or two times. But that lawsuit, I smelled the fish. Yeah, I want to know whatever happened with that lawsuit. Like, what was the outcome of that lawsuit? Candy Hall had the affair. Rob Corrigan, is that it? B Fergs? Hold on, let me look. Candy Hall, that sounds familiar. Rob Corrigan. Run. I think you're right. Corrigan. Oh shit. Candy Hall. Or is that a different case? I don't know. Let me see. I'm Googling it. Yeah, this is it. Emmett Corrigan. And the husband the fucked up part is the husband that killed the guy, he also had an affair years prior to that. So like he must have just had some fucking issues, the guy. He had an affair and then they worked it out, and then she went and had an affair and he just couldn't handle it, I guess. Yeah, that's them. That's them. She looks like a fucking psycho, the fucking mistress. She was a fucking asshole. I was so like I've never been like so disgusted by like somebody on a fucking Dr. Phil show until I watched this one. I was like, man, this woman's so fucking heartless. Like, she really just like she has no empathy for what this girl went through. Like, it was almost like she's like, it's not my fault. Like, your husband cheated on you. Like, you knew that they were married, so it kind of is your fault. I mean, it's his fault too, but it's kind of your fault too. That's it though. Someone was supposed to send me the latest court docs in her case, but never did. I don't know where she is. Like, I don't know where it was filed. Otherwise, I would look it up right now. because I mean, it is public record. Chris Coleman Watts' cellmate also killing his family over another woman. Yes, the Chris Coleman case. I remember that one. It's a big blow to a man's ego. Yeah, I guess so. Hey, Kat. It is, but it's just mind blowing that you would cheat and then have it done to you, and like all of a sudden you're killing people. Okay. Chris Watch saying how much oil were in the tanks by the sound of the splashes, calm as could be. Yeah, that was disturbing. There's clearly something wrong with him. Like he had like no, I don't know. That whole case just disturbed me. I remember I read that fucking book. I don't even know why I read it. Like I got so disgusted when I read that book. I didn't even finish it. It was that fucking asshole that wrote that book. What's that lady's name? What's her name? I can't think of her name now. That lady that wrote the book, I don't know. She wrote another one, Charlene Cradle, whatever the fuck her name was. And it was just like, I don't know. That whole thing too just made me sick. But the book, I got to like the last 2 chapters and I wanted to fucking burn it. I was like, this is just fucking gross. Like, because he was just talking about God and I was just like, fuck you. Like, I just wanted to burn the book. Fuck this book. Ugh, so fucking gross. Remember the suitcase murder? Melanie McGuire so sick she put his body parts in suitcases. That sounds familiar. Yeah, Mary the Charlene Cadle. And then she like, I'm like, how much does this woman want to milk the shit out of this case? Because she wrote another book. And I'm like, well, I'm definitely not buying that one. Because to be quite honest with you, like the first one wasn't that good. There's no way I was gonna buy and read a second book. But this is coming from the person who read Kirk Nermy's fucking book, okay? Kurt, whatever his fucking name was, Jodi Arias' attorney. Because I was just really interested to hear, like, everybody hated this guy, and I kind of used to, I'm just that person. I feel bad for, like, everybody because, like, in my head, I'm like, this guy's just doing his job. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was forced to take this case on, and then his client lied to him and he had to sit there in court and just he didn't want to be there, so he says, he was a public defender. He was forced to take this case on. He tried getting off the case and then they forced him back on it to stay on it. And he didn't believe her, and he had to sit in court and basically lie, and tell this bullshit self-defense story that he knew was bullshit. And he was up against Juan Martinez, who was like the prosecutor of all prosecutors in the country. This guy was like a bulldog. I mean, he just pounded you and hammered the shit out of everybody in the courtroom, you know. I mean, he was respectful with the prosecution witnesses, but fuck that. If you were a defense witness, he hammered the shit out of you, and this guy they were not a matchup. Like Kirk Nermy just was not a matchup for this guy. And it's just like, you got to almost kind of feel bad for the guy because you're like, he doesn't want to be there. His attorney, his client's a fucking psychopath who tortured him and lied to him. And then he's up against this crazy fucking prosecutor who's like not gonna miss a beat, you know what I'm saying? And then you got this fucking Kirk Nermy who talks slower than anything, and you just want to fall asleep while he's talking. He was the most boring fucking attorney I've ever listened to in my life, and there's some pretty boring ones out there, but he's fucking really boring. But I was like, yeah, I'm interested to hear his perspective. I remember at that time, all my Jodi Arias friends were like mad at me that I was like reading his book. I'm like, well, I want to read it. They weren't like mad at me, but they were like, I wouldn't read that book. Fuck him, And I was like, well, that's just the way I am. I like to hear everybody's, perspectives and sides and before I make a decision, like I want to hear what this guy has to say. I'm not just going to be like, oh, I don't like him because he's, a defense attorney. I mean, somebody has to do the job, but I also want to hear what his perspective is. Like, what's his point of view? Poor guy. And then he ended up getting fucking cancer after that. Oh, Gray Hughes, you definitely got some hell during the Aries case, but you gave it back too. You gave it back. Gray Hughes, man, you made I watched your videos on that case like 9 million times because there was just so many like good videos that I just kept going back to and watching. I wonder if that Barbie video is still out there. Do you remember that, Mary or Gray? Remember the Barbie video that these people, this is like ancient YouTube over here, you know? Like it really goes to show how much things have changed in the last like decade. Um you know, Gray Hughes has this fancy video that's like 3D, you know, like it's like a whole he like recreated on the computer the whole apartment basically. Well, not apartment, it was a house, but the whole upstairs of Travis Alexander's house, like the bedroom, the bathroom, basically the murder scene. And he, you know, he had a girl, he had a guy, he did like a whole reenactment of the prosecution's theory, right? No, I'm sorry, not the prosecution's theory, the gun first theory, because the prosecution changed whatever. It's a whole big long story, but there was two different theories of the way that he was killed. You know, one of them was saying that the gunshot came first because he was shot in the head, he was stabbed like 28 times, and then his throat was sliced. And they said that that was like the last, you know, thing that killed him. But more likely than not, he could have been dead, you know, before that. So it was overkill. But Gray did this whole really good video about the gunshot first theory because like halfway through the trial or something, or I forget when they changed it, but at first they were saying the gun first, and then they changed it to like they stabbed him first, and then the gunshot was last, I believe. So it was like this whole big thing. But Gray does this like sick video, you know, that's like totally accurate to his apartment. I mean, even down to like the little pictures that were hanging on the walls and shit, you know. And then this other person goes to do the stabbing first theory, right? But they used Barbie dolls. It was like a mixture of everything. It was good, but they put it together. They got the point across. Like some of it was like photos of like them, other things were Barbie dolls. It was just crazy, but it's funny because like you don't see shit like that on YouTube like nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Like that somebody would take fucking Barbie dolls and put that much time into a video, you know? Even Gray's video is like people just don't do that anymore. They're like, let me hit the live button, you know? That blew me away. Which one, Blair? Yeah, it was awesome how he did that. I loved Gray's videos. Mary, I think it was called, oh God, Exhibit. I'm trying to think. No, that might have been a different video. I bet you would. Let me see if I can find it. I want to see if that fucking Barbie video is still up there. Jody Arias. Jody Arias. That was like the first time though I really followed a fucking trial like on here because it was cool. Like people see back at that time, that's what people were doing in true crime. It was so much better than it is today. I just feel like the whole live streaming format like fucked everything up on YouTube. I don't know. Maybe in some ways, you know, but I feel like people just made like cool videos like that, you know, like the little theory about the gunshot first and like that was it. Oh my god, it scared the shit out of me. Scared me. I don't know what he just said. Hold on, I want to see if I can find that. Jody Arias. What was it? Stab? I don't know what the hell to call it. Jody Arias. I can't think of the name. Stabbing first? I don't remember. Or is it prosecution theory? I can't remember the name of it. Jody Arias. I know Gray's was like the gunshot first theory or something. Gunshot first. Ugh, I can't remember the name, dude. It was so long ago. It was just funny because I'm like, somebody actually sat there and took the time posing the Barbies and like really just like good shit. Did Jodi Arias stab first? No, that's a HLN video. Yeah, most of the stuff that comes up is oh, I remember this one. Photo expert says he sees a reflection of Jodi Arias and Travis Alexander's eye in his last photo. That's right. That was in court. Yeah, he has all Gray's videos. I can't find the other person's videos. I wish I knew what it was. I can't remember the name of it. I found it a couple of years back, so it's still there. It's still out there. Let me see. I'm gonna put knife first theory. Knife. Ray, didn't you even illustrate like the closet, the whole like her whole story, of her self-defense story? For some reason I remember like seeing in my head, her going up on the closet and grabbing the gun. I'm pretty sure you made a video like that. That shit was so cool, man. People just don't make videos like that anymore. I can only imagine how much time it took you to make a video like that, because my brother used to do 3D animation. That's what he went to college for. And it took him forever to like make a guy just fucking make a little movement, in that 3D bullshit. Some I can't find it, man. Knife first theory. I can't remember what the fuck it was called. So glad you still have those up though. Oh my god, dude, I swear to God, if YouTube had the little red thing on like videos that I watched back at this time, I think I watched every Jodi Arias video. Like I'm not kidding. Every single news thing, everything. I watched every single video that was made on the trial. Just every single thing. You'd see like red lines. Like it got to the point where I just ran out of videos to watch because I had watched every single one of them. Try to fucking find this video. It'll take me forever. It was just cool the way they did it with the Barbie dolls and shit. It was like so creative, Like here, like Gray did these awesome videos, that were so like professional looking, but like it was cool that this person actually did this whole like thing with nothing, They did it with like shit that they had around their house, little Barbies and shit. I like that kind of shit. Yeah, I'm never gonna be able to find that. But as I scroll through all these Jodi Arias videos, I'm like, holy shit, I remember that one. I remember that one. I remember that one. What? Mommy Ramblings? Oh no, that's from 3 years ago. I was like, Mommy Ramblings was around back then? No way. No way. I'm like, I don't remember her. There's a lot of people that were around back then that I didn't even know were around back then, because they're like, oh yeah, I followed that. And I'm like, oh, I don't remember you. We might have met. I had a different name back then. Mary was Mary Childs back then. Same name. No, you had a different name. That's right. I totally just really remembered that. Humming, where you been at? Sometimes hard as I get home late. Anyway, that was my whole little bullshit rant tonight. I just feel like some of these true crime like channels, not even just the ones that we will know here, it's just like crazy how wild people go with the speculation on these things on TikTok, and a lot going on in real life. Yeah, Hummingbird's Trader, she went to TikTok. She's like, fuck YouTube, I'm going to TikTok. She don't come on here anymore. I always forget to go on TikTok. I don't know. I like the longer videos. I think that's why I like YouTube, because I like watching. I watch shows and shit on here. I watch like A&E. They have some shows on here, so I don't know. I like watching longer videos because like I could listen to it while I'm like doing things. You know what I'm saying? Where like TikTok, it's like you would have to sit there like flicking up, right, every 3 minutes or so. Well, I heard that they're allowing longer videos now, but The Gabby case with the dang field by her van. What do you mean? TikTok aborted kids dead scrolling. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like I just couldn't sit there because you have to be like tied to your phone to like watch all those videos. Speculation drives me nuts because you see subs take it as truth and other comments and chats. And be fair, 'cause it just becomes so dangerous when you have a creator like this girl that I showed earlier. That's like you have 200,000 subscribers, and like these people are like going along with this shit and none of it's true. You're just totally speculating about this whole, situation. And it was just funny because when I watched Scott Reich's video, I was just like, oh my God, he just like destroyed that whole thing in like 2 seconds. We get 10 minutes now. See, but you still have to go back to your phone every 10 minutes and like change it. Like, oh, that would drive me nuts. Like, I don't mind if I'm just sitting there, but, like, if I'm trying to get something done that like, you couldn't watch TikTok. Like, you have to actually be watching TikTok to be watching it. Because a lot of the times, like, I'll listen to something, but I'm not watching it, I'm just listening to it. The speculation of him being in the field. Oh, yeah, that. Yeah. The hand, that was ridiculous. He wasn't in the field, like, you could I'm like, do these people have, like, any sense of, like, perspective and, like, the size of things? Like, obviously, that was a tree. I mean, you could see it was, like, bent over, and I'm like, "How do people think that that's a person? It looks way too big to be a person." Like, and what person is dressed in the same color from fucking head to toe? Dude, my neighbor's lights have been on for 2 days. I'm, like, starting to get worried. The car just keeps blinking, the lights. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, so the latest I have regarding Kay's lawsuit is that she filed a motion to dismiss on the 10th. So it's like really going through court. Wow. Wow. What are they trying to sue her for? Like how much money? Wasn't it like something like $1 million or some shit? Mm. Thank you, Gray Hughes. I appreciate that. And you're so right. No, Gray Hughes is like tip the ones who actually are they spend time with you, but tip ones like yourself who, actually like do some research and, you know, just do things that are worthwhile, have good discussions. You allow people to call in onto your um, shows and stuff. Like it's interactive. 10 million. Do you think Kay has $10 million? I don't. I will fact check things to the moon and back. Yes. I'm so mean to them. No, you're not. I gotta say, Gray Hughes, the one I listened to a while ago, this woman called in and she was kind of like singing, and I think she must be like a regular on your show. And I think you were very nice to her. You had a lot of patience with her because she's kind of all over the place talking about things that had nothing to do with what you were like originally discussing, and I think she was singing, and I was like, see, man, people say Gray Hughes is mean. He has so much patience with this woman. No, she doesn't have 10 million. I mean, that's just ridiculous. That's a ridiculous amount to sue anybody for, any YouTuber, except for like PewDiePie or something. I don't know. He's so weird. No, he's not mean to everybody, but listen, Gray Hughes has no time for bullshit, right? So he's not, if you're gonna come on his channel and say some like wild speculation, like there's a hand in the garden, at the laundry house. He just like, I don't blame him. That's like fucking just stop wasting my time with that shit. Don't waste my time with a fucking hand in a garden. Like that's just so stupid, you know? And so he just tells them, like, yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I don't blame him. I wish I had the balls to do that, like to people when they say stupid shit. Gray just has a different personality. He's a matter of fact person, and he's like me. He hates stupid people, and like I don't blame him because there's so many fucking stupid people on the internet that just say dumb shit. So it's like after a while, you're just like, no, just no. Like if you're saying something that's just so off the wall and not possible. I mean, I wonder how Gray would have felt if he saw the video that I played earlier with the girl, just with the fucking crazy speculation. It's like it's infuriating almost because you're like, dude, stop leading people to believe that any of this shit is true because it's just not. It's not true. 311 Petito filed lawsuit. Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier, chick. That they filed the lawsuit, which I personally just don't understand the point of, but it's not going to change anything. I think it's just for answers, quite honestly. They want the Petitos to talk because really that's all that could really possibly come out of it. I don't think they're really going to win any money because it would be extremely hard to prove that the parents knew for a fact, unless they had copies of like, I don't know, recordings or, you know what I'm saying, copies of text messages between Brian and them talking about the murders. But still, I don't know. They didn't have an obligation to report it. So I just don't know. I don't know. He does not do any stupid speculations. He takes you to the scene on Google Maps and does the research with the audience live. Yeah, he does donate a lot of money. You should send that video to Gray. He needs a good laugh. Yeah, seriously, he does. He won't even make it 5 minutes into that video. He won't even make it. I don't even know how I got through it. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, this is just insane. And there's people in the chat. There's this other guy. You know what other guy really pisses me off? His name is Joseph Morris, and he puts the most clickbaity titles. He was another guy during the Brian Laundrie case, and that he would always make this excuse. He would have these really like clickbait titles, and his channel blew up because of the Laundrie case, and he put these like clickbait titles like that were total lies, and he still does it. I still see him pop up in my feed every once in a while, and it's a total lie. And like the other day, what did he put in? Somebody's dead. That didn't even die. It was just like so stupid. But and then he would just always say during the live, "This is a speculation channel." It's just like to try to like cover his ass for like all the bullshit he would put up there. Like he didn't fact check anything. Like he let everything fly on his channel, and I can't watch him. Duty Ron is on TikTok. He helped me with this POSNY cop. What do you mean? I mean, it was just ridiculous speculation. I mean, the stupidest shit. The flower bed thing he would play, and then he played, um, just anything. Oh, he kept posting pictures of like people who thought they saw Brian, and like clearly it wasn't Brian Laundrie. It's like, dude, he looks like so many people in this world, like, and he would just post them and I'm like, "Why are you even wasting time?" Like, clearly, you could look at that picture and just know that it's not him. The guy's like, 200 pounds and bald, you know? Like like, it's clearly not him. Why are you even wasting people's time with this? I don't know. So him, and then there was this other guy that his channel got big too. It was called Cinema Shogun or something, and same thing, a lot of speculation, a lot of crazy speculation. Hold on a second, I'm just gonna mute. Hold on. All right, sorry, my neighbor was walking by. I'm like, why? I said my neighbor's car's been blinking for 2 days straight. So, all right, my husband's gonna kill me because it's like loud out here. But I'm gonna end this in a minute. Kanye decapitated Pete Davidson. Oh, that's what it was. Life Rewinded. This guy, he put something about Kanye West is dead, and I'm like, what? Kanye West isn't dead. But then it was about like his new song or some shit. Yeah, Kanye West has some serious fucking problems. All right, I'm gonna end this. It's getting late. I'm gonna go to bed, and I'll see you guys next time. So just be careful who you're watching and getting your facts from, guys. All right, I'm out of here.